Hi everyone and welcome to Homerino Collectibles, where today we're going to be taking a look at the Leader Class Dragonstorm from Transformers The Last Knight, and this is part of the Premier Edition line. Now I just want to mention right off the bat that this thing actually is quite prone to being broken right up here at the necks. There is a video online of someone who's had either 2 or 3 of these things, and every single one of them is broke. One of them broke as he was taking out the packaging. There's a lot of these little twisty ties and stuff that you got to take off. Basically, there's the grey part here on the neck. That is a very brittle plastic, so it can break in the hinge part of the jaw, in this part of the neck, which is also the hand and arm section. So just be very, very careful of anything around these dragon heads. If you want your own, you can go ahead and order it from Big Bad Toy Store. There's a link in the description below. Coming around to the side here, you have some pretty sweet artwork of Dragonstorm right there. Didn't quite look like that in the movie. It was more kind of metallic looking as opposed to just basically lava, but looks pretty sweet nonetheless. And over on the back here, you can see the 2 bots that do actually combine to form this dragon. Now, there was actually 13 knights that come together to form this. Obviously, we've got a couple of the other knights already. As it is, you know, we've got some other single release figures, and then we've got these 2. I think it's really nice to add to the knights, but we still need more to make up the rest of them, so it would have been nice to have a few more designs. I don't think that we're going to get them, but never mind. But at least we do have some of them anyway, so let's go ahead and get this thing open and take a closer look. And here is Stormrain and Dragonicus out of the packaging. These figures are really, really fantastic. I really do like this set. There is 1 or 2 drawbacks, but for the most part, really, really good. Now, this guy right here is a deluxe. This is Berserker. So, stood next to these guys, I will just put them in the middle. These 2 stand about 6.5 inches tall. They are actually Voyagers. So, as you can see, very good size next to the deluxes from the line. Now, yes, this is, you know, if you were to compare these to some of your older Transformers from earlier years, this might be a small deluxe and these might be small Voyagers, but compared to each other, they are actually in pretty good scale, I feel. You know, they're about the same height as like Prime and whatnot, which they should be, so very good. So first up, let's have a look at Stormrain right here. So obviously the more kind of slender of the 2, however, when you flip him round to the back, he does have all that kind of empty kibble. Now, I don't think it looks all that bad or anything, but I just wish that they had a hinge here and a hinge here so that you could just collapse this in a little bit, because I think they definitely could have done a little bit something else for that. Obviously, you're paying a leader price point, and you do get 2 Voyager figures that kind of have, I would say, a deluxe transformation. These do not have individual modes. This isn't like a kind of triple changer sort of thing. It's just Dragonstorm and then these 2 robot modes. So you don't get any individual alt modes for these 2, which I think kind of sucks. Now, they do combine together, obviously, and the 2 separate forms, before you combine them together, they do kind of look like 2 different monsters in their own rights, but they're not meant to be like that. So I definitely think that for the price point of a leader, they should have had a bit more of a complex transformation. I think it's cool, and obviously it's kind of lengthy, I guess, when you're putting the 2 figures together, but you know, they just do feel kind of simple on their own. Now, this guy does actually have a couple of red dots for eyes in there, but this whole thing really on the picture should be red. I do definitely like the nice silver that they've gone for on that head sculpt right there. I wish we'd have got that maybe on the weapons and maybe a few other places around the figure. Just like some of the other knights that we've had in the line, we have this kind of, I don't really know what to call it, a tan sort of gold colouring on here to kind of shade the plastic. And then you also have that kind of tealy, bluey green kind of colour in here. It all looks really, really fantastic, and they all obviously stand very well next to your other knights from the line. You do have a peg on this mace, so not only can you hold it in either hand, but you can actually also store it over here in this back section as well, and you can pivot it to one side if you wish. That looks pretty sweet. As for articulation, the head can move left and right. That's pretty much all you get. It's on a ball joint, but you can't really do anything else with it. This does, due to transformation, swing a little bit. That's because this doesn't actually like tab in. It's just got a little notch there and there that rest together to hold it in place, but doesn't properly tab it. But it's secure enough that it doesn't wobble around really on its own, so that's pretty good. So you have the joint in the shoulder here, which moves out to the side and then all the way around. It's basically a ball joint right there, and these pieces have a little bit of articulation there as well. These joints on both figures for the arms are very stiff, so be careful with these. That's very stiff right there. You got the rotation, and then you got the single jointed elbow, and the wrist doesn't have any movement there at all. Again, Be careful with the arms because people have had these heads break off. Now, obviously that's another downside. Here you only get the one head over here, but it doesn't look too bad at all. Honestly, you don't really notice it all that much, but you do have a dragon head sticking off the side of his arm. This guy, you do actually get a waist swivel. The hips come out to the side, rotate forward and back, and then you've got the single jointed knee, you've got the thigh swivel, and then the foot articulation is basically just that. There's not really anything else there. And so moving over onto Dragonicus right now, this guy's much easier to stand, and he needs it. Obviously, he's got the massive wings on his back there, but he does actually have the dragon feet as heel spurs, which I think is fantastic. That really, really does help. You can see the amount of back kibble that's sticking out to the side there. This guy has some kibble, but it's very, very light. So most of this guy's weight is actually going forwards. It's actually kind of going back now just because I got the mace on his backpack right there. But he definitely could do with having some bigger heel spurs. This guy has it in abundance. So he has the two swords. They look fantastic. They're really, really nice looking swords. Pretty sweet central groove, kind of sharp sword. Very, very nice down here in the grip and everything, and the pommel looks pretty sweet. And obviously you have the peg again, so you can actually store both of the swords on the back, which is very nice. You can do whatever you want with these wings. Obviously you could open them up and have this guy flying, which is pretty sweet. And you can also kind of move them around if you want. If you don't want them in his silhouette, you can just put them straight back so that you can't really see them all that much. I think they're pretty sweet. I think they kind of look like a cape on him, so I really, really do like them. Another thing I really like is the head sculpt. I think that this is based on the one that is inside the crashed Cybertronian ship that you see near the start of the film. Or at least, obviously, you know, it's a guy that looks like this guy because obviously that one actually dies. And that wouldn't be possible if you see this later on in the film. But, you know, it's just a very similar helmet. So with this guy, I think that we do actually get a little bit more paintwork than we got over there. You have some silver dry brushing on this guy, more over the torso. You don't actually get it on that one, so you do actually get a bit nicer paint job on this. He kind of shines and shimmers a lot more. So you got your ball jointed head, your ball jointed shoulders, and then you've got your swivel right here, your single hinge elbow, nothing at the wrist, and then you've got the same hips pretty much, rotation. You have a double jointed knee in there, so you can move a little bit more. And then down here, you do have a little bit of pivot just because it's the actual dragon's foot and then the toe there as well. So I guess you got a little bit more articulation down here in the knees, but then this guy has it in the waist. So first up, we're going to sort the legs out for this guy. They just simply pull apart and straighten out on these hinges. Once the legs are straight like this, you can rotate them, and then it's going to hinge up, and that tab is going to go into this light grey piece right there. This is going to hinge up, and then what was the toe is now going to go inside there. And just go ahead and do the same on the other side. And so now we're going to open up the torso, and it's this line right here. So you're going to want to just hold it at the bottom and kind of undo the tabs as you go up. Now I think over time they may kind of get stressed. I don't really know how they're going to go, but hopefully it's not all that bad. So what we're going to do is rotate the head inside like that. And the reason for opening this up is we need to get these arms/legs out. So we're going to bring them up like so. Same with the other side. This one's a little bit harder because you got this piece sticking out, and then also you got the head there as well. Which, be nice and careful, be gentle. And so once we've got it all open like this, we're going to go ahead and just straighten out these dragon necks. So we need to open up this, fold the hand inside, and then straighten out the neck and close that back up. Now this whole open shell is ready to go. Now if you were to just close this up and put the legs back together, you've got a two-headed dragon right here, which I think would look pretty sweet on its own, but obviously is kind of open and empty. But it is a mode if you really wanted to use it like that. And so putting that to one side, we're going to move on to Storm Rain. So let's go ahead and open up the arm and just get this neck sorted out before we do anything else. There we go. And we're going to fold this hand in like so. Coming around to the back, we're going to fold this down. And basically the arm is going to sit inside that empty cavity. So we're going to turn the head around like so. And this piece is going to hinge down and then hinge up, and it's going to sit on top of the head. We're going to rotate the arm around, and then it's going to bend and fold up inside. And I think that's pretty cool. Now what we're going to do is rotate this piece around like so. And then this piece is going to sit on there like that and rotate that way. And then over here at the back, what we're going to do is rotate the legs that way. So on this side, the toe just goes down. On this side, we're going to flip out a tail, just like so, which as you can see is very, very rubbery, so you're not going to snap it or anything. And then they are going to face each other. And then this piece is going to collapse in. If you remember Combiner Wars, it's very, very similar to that. It's going to collapse into itself and clip in and sit just there, just like so. And then this is going to come down and tab into position. There's a little peg just inside there. Not sure if you can see that. And once you've got everything lined up perfectly, that is how it should all look. So it essentially is kind of like, I don't know, a sea monster or something like that. Maybe like a Loch Ness or something. Again, it's a decent thing, like if you're a kid playing with it or something. However, you know, this is all unfinished and you can see a head there and stuff. So by no means is it perfect, but it's something, you know. So you've got two different monsters right here and we're going to connect them together. Now there's a peg right here and it's going to sit in this tab right here. And there you go. That is actually quite a solid connection in of its own right. But obviously now we can go ahead and close this torso piece. You don't have to worry if anything does come loose because the torso piece really does hold everything in nice and securely. So we're going to bring this over. There we go. As you can see, no rattling, it's all really, really secure. And so we have a slot right here and a tab right here. And so they are going to just sit together, just like so. And then just go ahead and do the same on the other side. And then we have a completed Dragonstorm. And honestly, Dragonstorm is absolutely amazing. This mold is pretty damn sweet, I have to say. But go ahead and just give you some real good focus on the back. I mean, look at the amazing detail that's on these wings and across the back. Now that is quite accurate to how it looked, and obviously you do have the really nice silver dry brushing over the top of this figure. I do feel that all of the colors do lend themselves really, really well to this design, but obviously it really should have just been pretty much silver. So I kind of do wish that it was all just silver and grey, but then maybe it might be a little bit boring. Now my favourite colour is orange, but even I think that these heads look a little out of place. It kind of makes it look more like Predaking-esque, but obviously this is more of an Autobot than a Decepticon, so I really don't like that all that much. But for the most part, it's fine, it's a toy, it looks good. Now these head pieces right here are actually rubbery, and so are these jaws right here, and as you can see you got the orange inside of the mouths and the head moves right here. You've got the articulated jaw so the mouths can open. And then you've got your movement right here, which is your elbow, and then you've got like your shoulder movement and everything. So they basically have the articulation that the arms have in robot mode. Down here at the leg pieces, you just get basically the hinge. You get a little bit of in and out movement there as well. And then the feet have a little bit of a pivot. If you want more of a heel spur there, you can go ahead and open that up if you really want to. But you don't need it because all the weight is actually pulling him that way. Now you can lock out these arms and he can rest down like that. But I honestly do prefer it standing more upright like so. But then you can kind of see all this kind of junk inside here and the joints and the robot hands and stuff. There's lots of things about this thing that are not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But it's a toy. It's two Voyager class figures combining together, and honestly it looks pretty sweet, and it's nice and strong and sturdy and robust, and it's, you know, very good for playability and everything. I really do like it. So then you got your ball joints over here, you got your single jointed elbow, and then you got your single jointed wrist thing right there. Your tail has a little bit of movement there if you want to go ahead and do that. And obviously your wings here can flap away as you wish, and you do actually have the peg holes underneath the wings to still go ahead and store the swords if you wish. And then you have a peg here on the back so you can go ahead and store the mace. Obviously it doesn't look all that fantastic, but hey, at least you can actually store all the weapons. That's more than what other Transformers toys can do. So obviously from top down he looks pretty great, but then from the bottom up, obviously, you know, you've just got all this kind of junk on the underside here that you can see, and that isn't really all that fantastic. But for the most part, you know, with what they've achieved here, I think it looks really, really nice. Now, in terms of some measurements, I don't even know how big this thing is myself yet. Let me just do a real quick rough measurement. You've got about 13 inches right there, and a wingspan of about 12 inches, so pretty decent in size. And then honestly guys, I think it's definitely worth it. If you've got the other Knights, or if you've got anything else from the movie line, or if you just enjoyed the movie, this is a really, really nice figure. Yes, it's something that you could pass on. Yes, it does definitely have some flaws, but nothing is big enough to make you not love this guy. Honestly, you might look at it and you might think, well, it's just kind of ugly, and it, you know, maybe you don't like the colors and stuff like that, but the individual robots are really, really good, and overall it's a nice solid design. There's not really too much to hate about. When you actually hold this thing in your hands, it's something very different that we don't normally get from Transformers, and I honestly really, really do like it, even more so than I thought I would. So thanks for watching guys. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and give it a like. If you want to see some other videos from my collection, check out what's on the screen right now. If you want to check out my Instagram and Twitter, there are links in the description below. It's Homerino123 for both. And if you want to go ahead and see some more Transformers reviews, go ahead and subscribe. Thanks for watching guys, and I will see you next time.